Team Fortress 2 released in October of 2007. Over 15 years later, it is still one of the most popular games on Steam. As someone who installed Team Fortress 2 for the first time in June of 2012, nearly 11 years ago now, I have tons of memories in the 600 hours I put into the game over that first year or so of owning a gaming-capable PC. As with a lot of other people, I grew away from TF2, playing other games as I aged, always remembering the good times I had. Deciding to reinstall it recently, I realized that the community was still booming, and that the game was very much still alive. It got me thinking, how has this game stood the test of time unlike so many others who have tried and failed? How does it still have an active daily player base that even rivals some of the newest releases out there? Let's see if we can find some semblance of an explanation to this game's seemingly immortal status. Team Fortress 2 arguably has one of, if not the most recognizable art directions of any FPS ever created. You can take a screen grab of anything from the game and instantly recognize that it's from TF2. Even people who don't play the game know about the hats and the unusuals. Not to mention the absolutely iconic class design. Every class is easily recognizable at a glance. Each with their own unique personality, design, and sound, the classes have definitely left their mark and influenced so much in gaming today. The weapon design for each class is completely unique to them, from the Scout's scattergun, the Demoman's sticky launcher, to the Spy's revolver. Each class's weapon also loosely represents each class's basic playstyle. The Scout is a close-range character with a faster movement speed than the others. He's ideal for flanking and pestering the enemies and can open up fights with huge damage from his scattergun. The Demoman with his grenade launcher along with his sticky launcher is ideal for locking down choke points and taking out enemy buildings, but we'll talk more about weapons and classes later on in the video. Finally, hats. Arguably the most iconic part of TF2 is the hats, with the unusual effects, taunts, and other clothing the game offers. Everything about customizing the classes in TF2 is pretty unique to TF2, or at least it was at the time. I'd argue that the way cosmetics are released and managed in today's game space was influenced by Team Fortress. It's the first game I remember having loot crates and keys, and having the randomized casino-style reward system that came along with those.
Oh, there it is! Oh.
Almost equally as important as the visual design of the game comes the sound design and the soundtrack. Team Fortress 2 has some of the most recognizable sound design in gaming. The weapons, character voices, music, ambient sound, and the way they all interact with each other. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone in the gaming industry who hasn't heard the of TF2's main theme. The team over at Valve did an incredible job with building and fleshing out the world that the game takes place in. From detailed, in-depth backstories for each character to hidden secrets you can find in-game. The Meet the Team videos are a great introduction to each of the characters.
I am heavy weapons guy.
Listening? Okay. Grass grows, birds fly, sun shines, and brother, I hurt people.
And from that day forward, anytime a bunch of animals are together in one place, it's called a zoo.
But their stories do get more fleshed out within other content the dev team ended up releasing. With the introduction of the comics and other official cinematics, we end up learning quite a bit about the world this game takes place in. We learn about Redmond Man, Blutarch Man, and Zephaniah Man. About Zephaniah's death and the feud between Redmond and Blutarch. How he left Manco to Barnabas Hale, his wealth to his aide Elizabeth, and left nothing but empty desert to his sons. We find out that the brothers hired mercenaries to steal the land from each other, with the fighting lasting over 100 years. Blutarch hired an engineer to build him a machine to essentially make him immortal, but Elizabeth convinced the engineer to build one for Redmond as well. Australium is discovered, and the war continues. Saxton Hale inherits Manco from his father Bilius, and we meet the mercs that are represented in the game. We find out about Greyman, the long-lost third brother of the Man family, who ends up killing his brothers. And there's so much more to go into, I'm barely scratching the surface here. Valve has also done something with Team Fortress 2 that we've not really seen any other developer do. Valve left the community the tools to keep the game running long after Valve themselves had abandoned the game. They released the official mapmaker tools, a community workshop, and the source filmmaker, so that the community has been able to keep the game alive with community-created content throughout the years. Everything we see that's been added to the game in recent years has been completely community made. Whether it's a new map or cosmetic crate containing community created cosmetics, taunts, or unusual effects, there's always been some sort of content being made for the game. There's even the amazing content creators, some of which have been creating content for the game for nearly a decade. From Uncle Dane to Lazy Purple, Soundsmith, Shonik, Banny, and I'm not even scratching the surface there. Whether it's their spectacularly written scripts, the amazing editing, or just the calm and chill, relaxed shenanigan style gameplay videos, they all draw in an audience for the game. Some even choose to host their own community servers to help engage with their followers. Some creators even go out of their way to make full-length source filmmaker cinematics, like The Red, The Blue, and The Ugly, Live and Let Spy, It's Playtime, or The End of the Line, which ended up even getting an in-game update created based on it. And of course, who could forget the official Meet the Team videos? Team Fortress started off as a mod for the 1996 first-person shooter Quake, which is where, even to this day, Team Fortress 2's basic fundamentals lie. You move, you aim, you shoot, and occasionally you die. Sometimes you just die. A lot. The general gameplay loop of pretty much any FPS, including Team Fortress 2, is relatively easy to pick up and learn, but hard to master. This is where the class system and the individual class design comes in. Knowing your matchups and countering classes, or using your own chosen class and playing it to its fullest potential are very important skills to master. Considering the game is built on the source engine, knowing how to take advantage of the way the character movement works in the game is an integral skill to learn. Training how to surf enemy rockets, trimping, rocket jumping, bunny hopping, and so many other techniques that add to the game's skill ceiling. Each class also has their own weapon styles, aside from some shared weapons like the shotgun. Each class also has alternate weapons that for the most part are essentially side grades, some even being straight downgrades. Knowing what weapons the enemies are running is another way the game raises the skill ceiling. For example, knowing that the enemy engineer is running the Frontier Justice and knowing your team just recently took down his sentry gun would likely lead you to play more cautiously and not rush the engineer, as they likely have revenge crits stored and are waiting for an opportunity to use them. The way the gunplay feels is completely unmatched. I can't think of a single game where getting a kill is as satisfying as hitting a juicy meat shot with the scout, or an air shot with the soldier, or a sweet, sweet stair stab with the spy. Though, the class system is no longer unique to Team Fortress 2, but I do believe it's still the best and likely the most balanced example of the hero shooter genre. That brings us to what I believe is the most important part of Team Fortress 2's success and longevity: the freedom. Knowing that Valve gave the player base all the tools to make maps, items, mods, game modes, weapons, cosmetics, it essentially gives the player base an infinite amount of ways to play the game. You can sit in trade servers making or losing money, play casually through matchmaking, find community servers with custom maps, play official MVM or the community versions of the game mode. There's jailbreak, prop hunt, hide and seek, death runs. You can turn casual matches into dance parties. The list goes on. That's just the game mode side of things as well. That's not even bringing into account the plethora of playstyles each of the classes can have. With the 208 weapons the game provides, there's tons of different ways each class can be played. There's Trolldier, Flava Scouts, Friendly Heavies, Demo Knights, and so many more. The freedom this game gives to its player base is unlike any other I've seen. None of this would be possible if Valve didn't give the community the tools to create and keep on creating. Oh. And of course, the game being free to play definitely doesn't hurt. Considering it makes the barrier to entry just having a computer, and not even a good computer. And that brings us to some of the stuff that might be hindering TF2's ability to grow even more. We'll start with the most obvious problem with the game currently. Although not as bad as it once was over the past few years, the bot problem has been a very large hindrance for Team Fortress, especially for new players who may not know of the problem and how to avoid it. The bot problem got so bad at one point that a movement formed. #SaveTF2 was trending. Content creators were rallying their communities, and it actually worked. The community got a response from the devs, and followed were some relatively decent-sized updates to solve the problem. Sort of. It has helped a little bit, but the bots seem to be crawling back from the depths of hell to ruin more and more games. Botting isn't exclusive to TF2 though. A lot of games that have an in-game economy tend to have bots, like RuneScape or Path of Exile. Although I don't think bots have much of an effect on the TF2 economy. Another problem that seems to be less popular in my experience recently is actual players cheating. I've only ran into it a couple of times since I returned to the game. Although it's still annoying, it's much less popular. But cheating inherently goes hand in hand with free-to-play games as a whole. Even more modern games like Warzone, Apex Legends, and Fortnite are some prime examples. They've been struggling with cheaters for a while now. Gambling's another thing we see in a lot of free-to-play games that have an economy. Although not as bad as it got in some other games, it's still not the best part of the game. But there's not much we can do about how other people decide to spend their money. Something that I haven't really run into myself because I'm not an avid trader is the fact that people are still trying to scam people out of items in this game, which is kinda hilarious to me. But let's be honest. The biggest problem with Team Fortress 2 is the lack of developer support. The fact that this amazing game and community have been abandoned by Valve is one of the most depressing things to happen in the gaming industry. The game isn't perfect, but it's as close as we're gonna get in the current industry. Hopefully one day we'll get to see Valve breathe new life into this wonderful and fantastic universe they've created. New maps, new modes, new comics, and new animations, all things the community would love to see. It may never happen, but Valve, if you hear us, we'll be here waiting, with hope, because we love your game, and everything you've done with it. Well, almost everything. See you next time. T, signing off.